Right. It's what is it? It's May 20th, 2021, and Quinn and I just got back from our trip to California. It's sort of a graduation type thing that I planned. And it went really cool. And I decided to maybe just give a little blurb about it. Actually, it'd probably be quite a big blurb. Typically, when I do these kind of trips, like with Arlene and such, I've uh, I've written them and it took and put them in a page, in a book like thing. And the last one we did, the Newfoundland. Um, it turned out to be 100 pages. I mean, it was pretty big, and so I wanted to try a little bit different here, and I decided I wanted like just narrated it a little bit and see how that goes. Well, maybe I will write it up as well, but um, so I'll give you a little bit background on it. So the Quinn, my son, he just he's 23 now, and he just graduated from, I believe that's right, no, 22. Oh, he's gonna be 23 this year. He graduated from Northern Michigan's with a degree, a BFA in illustration, and want to celebrate it. And we've kind of done trips before. I guess one of the things about with Quinn and I is that we can go way back when he was a little boy. What I would do is we lived in Ann Arbor at the time, and one of the things we used to do is we used to drive to the playground and then have lunch, and then eventually we'd drive to someplace, movies and such, and same thing. And so traveling and eating, which started to become sort of a thing to do. And then when he graduated from high school in 2017, I guess I didn't know it at the time, really didn't think about what was happening, but on a grander scale, I decided I wanted to do a trip with him, but instead of going to the playground and having lunch at the nearest diner, um, I decided to do a trip out to Colorado with him, and I asked him if he would have his friends come along, two or three of his friends, and the original plan was to rent a motorhome and just live out of that, stop and make it like a week and a half trip. But that sort of evolved into renting a Ford Expedition, fairly big SUV, and stopping at some Airbnbs that I found along the way that were kind of cheaper than other places, and some of them were kind of remote, which made them interesting. And the trip went really well. And I just sort of thought, that'd be kind of the cool thing to continue to do with him. As soon as he got out of school, like a couple weeks out of school, he's free. Especially he didn't get a job immediately out of college. And I said, well, I'm done with school, and Arlene's still working. She works until June, and so I decided, why not take a week off, and we'll go for a trip. And we did that in 2019. We took a trip out east. We went to there was a air show that was sort of the main driver behind it in Pennsylvania, and it was a couple days. And so we drove out there, and so we saw it, and then we decided to drive a little bit further. Um, I think that was that year. Anyways, we went further. I don't want to go into the whole story, but it was sort of a beginning thing. So this trip, like I said before, I wanted to do right after he got out of college, and right after my school that I'm teaching. Now, I have a little bit of more leeway than previous years, and I could go a week earlier because I'm doing everything online and I'm not needed at the school for any particular reason. So I decided to ask to do it May 12th through the May 18th. So that would be Wednesday through Tuesday. And I was hoping that that Quinn be able to do it. Now the original plan, I thought, is that we would drive out to California. Now, why California? Well, Quinn has expressed some interest in doing skateboard art, maybe working on a skateboard company designing their skateboards. And what a better place to go than California? And so that came up, and I looked at it, and I looked at how long it would take to drive out there, and that right there just became problematic. I don't know how far it is, 2,500 miles or so, or less, like 2,000, something like that, 2,100 miles. At least, and from Detroit, and I figured what if you drive 600 miles a day, which is long, okay, that's like 10 hours, 11 hours a day. You're making 4 days, okay, 3 days. And then you want to see California for another week, and then another week coming back. So that would be 3 weeks, and it just kind of didn't seem possible. I looked up flights to San Diego, and Spirit Airlines had them for $75, and I just go, whoa, okay, this is how we go. And so I looked it up, and I go, okay, seems like a way to go. And so I talked to Quinn and said, are you willing to do it? I'll buy the tickets, and we'll get out there, we'll rent a car, and we'll make some plans, and then that'll be the trip. We'll do it in a week. And he said, sometimes it's kind of hard to get it's not hard to get a commitment out of Quinn, but it's kind of hard to get him to answer as soon as I'd like him to answer, and that's okay because we figured it out. And so I believe this was in April that I decided to do this. So I made the arrangement to buy the tickets from Spirit for, like I said, May 12th, a Wednesday, and coming back on May 18th. And the reason I did that is I have to go to I have to get a blood test on the 20th. So we decided to do that. So I bought the tickets. The Spirit said, the tickets were $75 per person, but not really, because you have to read the big print, because the big print says if you want to carry anything on, it costs another $70, and if you want a seat, it's another $20, and so it got the price up to $200 a ticket, which I thought was okay. All right, and that was all right with me. And I also, through Priceline, I decided to rent a car, and so I put in for a sort of mid-size car, and the cost at the time was $330, and this will come up in a few minutes. What happens about that? So everything got sort of started at to go here. Now, as far as where to stay and things like that, what I decided I was going to do is I was going to find our first night, a couple days before we leave, and then when we're there, we'll decide where we're going to stay as we go. Because it looked like I was watching the prices of the hotels, is that they really didn't change very much the day of that you um, that you get them. So so I have no problem what I was going to do. So the flight was to come out of Detroit, and I'm in Urbana, and it's about 3 hour drive for me. And the first flight will be at 8:20, and so I decided because it was fairly early, 8:20, and they board at 7:30. That probably be a good idea if I go up to Monroe because I'm gonna pick up Quinn anyways, and spend the night before. So on Tuesday night, I drove up to Monroe and I stayed in my little local dive hotel, the Days Inn, and I did that. All right, now I got all packed. I had one bag, carry on, and another personal item bag they call it, with my computer. Now Quinn had a little bit harder. Is that he had to drive down to Monroe from Marquette, and that's a day trip, and so he had to come down. He had to make arrangements on figuring out when to come down. Not totally stress himself out with driving, and so he figured it out, and he got that to his mother's house in Monroe, and that's why we're meeting in Monroe. And then I would pick him up in the morning, and I said, Quinn, I will pick you up at 5, okay, 5 o'clock. All right, so make sure that you're up at 5. And I think I texted his mother and said, Missy, can you make sure he gets up at 5 on Wednesday morning so we can get going? Because I don't know how crowded it is. I know it's at the end of this pandemic, and I'm not sure how busy airlines are. I know they're starting to come back, so I wanted to get going pretty early because it's about 30 minutes to 40-minute drive from Monroe to the airport. Okay, so let's move on, and now we're going to talk about the trip a little bit at the beginning of the trip.